Welcome to Sri Learning Academy. Let's simplify multi-threading models. Up to this point in the module, we have talked about what threads are, why we need multi-threading, how thread states work, and the difference between user level and kernel level threads. Now we are ready to connect all of that and answer a very important question. If an application creates multiple threads, how does the operating system actually manage them internally? More specifically, how are user threads mapped to kernel threads? This mapping is what we call multi-threading models. Think of a multi-threading model as a rule book that defines the relationship between threads created by applications and the threads that the operating system schedules on the CPU. Different operating systems use different models depending on performance needs, hardware support, and design goals. The three classic models you will often see in textbooks and exams are many to one to one, and many to many. Let us start with the many to one model because it is the simplest to understand. In this model, many user level threads are mapped to a single kernel level thread. From the operating system's point of view, there is only one thread. All scheduling decisions are made at the user level, usually by a thread library. Imagine a classroom with many students, but only one representative who is allowed to talk to the teacher. Inside the class, students can discuss among themselves and decide who speaks next, but the teacher only ever interacts with that one representative. In the same way, the OS only sees one kernel thread, even though the application may have many user threads. This model was popular in early systems because it is easy to implement and very efficient at the user level. Creating, deleting, and switching between threads is fast because it does not require a system call or a switch to kernel mode. Everything happens within the application's own space. However, this simplicity comes with serious limitations. The biggest problem is blocking. If one user thread makes a blocking system call, such as reading from disk or waiting for network data, the entire process blocks. Since all user threads depend on a single kernel thread, none of the other threads can run while the OS is waiting for that operation to complete. Another major drawback is that this model cannot take advantage of multi-core processors. Even if your system has 4 or 8 CPU cores, the operating system can only schedule that single kernel thread on one core. So all user threads end up sharing one CPU, which limits performance. To make this concrete, imagine a web browser using the many to one model. One thread handles user input, another handles page rendering, and another handles network requests. If the network thread blocks while waiting for data, the entire browser freezes. This is clearly unacceptable for modern interactive applications. Because of these issues, the many to one model is rarely used in modern general purpose operating systems, though it is still useful to understand conceptually. Now let us move to the one-to-one model, which addresses most of these problems. In this model, each user-level thread is mapped to a separate kernel-level thread. If an application creates 5 threads, the operating system also creates 5 kernel threads. The OS scheduler is fully aware of each thread and can schedule them independently. Going back to our classroom example, this is like every student being allowed to talk directly to the teacher. Each student can ask questions independently, and if one student is busy, others are not affected. The biggest advantage of the one to one model is true parallelism. On a multi core system, different threads of the same process can run at the same time on different CPU cores. This greatly improves performance for CPU intensive and highly concurrent applications. Another important benefit is that blocking is no longer a global problem. If one thread makes a blocking system call, only that thread is blocked. Other threads in the same process can continue running normally. This makes applications more responsive and robust. This is why most modern operating systems prefer the one to one model. Windows, Linux, and modern Unix based systems largely follow this approach. For example, when you write a multi threaded program using POSIX threads on Linux, each thread is typically implemented as a kernel thread. However, the one to one model also has costs. Creating and managing kernel threads is more expensive than managing user threads. Each kernel thread consumes system resources such as kernel memory and scheduling structures. Because of this, operating systems often limit the maximum number of threads a process can create. Think of a server application that creates thousands of threads, one for each client. In a pure one-to-one model, this could overwhelm the system, leading to high overhead and reduced performance. So while the one-to-one model is powerful, it must be used carefully. This brings us to the many-to-many model, which tries to combine the best parts of both approaches. In this model, many user-level threads are mapped to a smaller or equal number of kernel-level threads. The exact number of kernel threads can vary based on system load, available CPUs, or configuration. An easy way to visualize this is to imagine a team of workers and a limited number of machines. Many workers exist, but only a few machines are available at any time. Workers take turns using the machines, and the manager decides who gets access when. Here, the workers are user threads, the machines are kernel threads, and the manager is the thread library along with the OS. The many-to-many model allows applications to create a large number of user threads without creating the same number of kernel threads. User-level scheduling decides which user threads are mapped onto which kernel threads, while the OS schedules kernel threads onto CPUs. This model has several advantages. First, it allows better scalability than the one-to-one model because the number of kernel threads can be controlled. Second, it avoids the global blocking problem of the many-to-one model. If one user thread blocks, other user threads can still be scheduled on available kernel threads. Third, it can take advantage of multiple CPU cores because kernel threads can run in parallel. To understand this with an example, imagine a database server handling thousands of client requests. Each request is represented as a user thread. The system may create only a few dozen kernel threads based on the number of CPU cores. User threads are dynamically mapped to these kernel threads. If one request is waiting for disk I/O, another request can use the same kernel thread once it becomes free. Despite its flexibility, the many-to-many model is complex to design and implement. Coordinating between user-level scheduling and kernel-level scheduling is not trivial. Debugging and maintaining such systems is also harder. Because of this complexity, many general-purpose operating systems chose the simpler one-to-one model as hardware became more powerful. There is also a variation sometimes mentioned called the two-level model. It is similar to many, but it allows certain user threads to be permanently bound to specific kernel threads. This gives developers more control when needed while still keeping the flexibility of user-level scheduling. So how do we connect all of this back to what we have already learned? Earlier, we discussed user-level and kernel-level threads as separate concepts. Multithreading models explain how these two worlds are connected. They also influence thread scheduling, performance, and concurrency issues, which we will explore further in upcoming topics like thread scheduling and multithreading problems. In summary, the many-to-one model is simple and fast but limited and outdated. The one-to-one model provides true parallelism and simplicity at the cost of higher resource usage. The many-to-many model offers flexibility and scalability but increases complexity. Understanding these models helps you see why different operating systems behave the way they do when handling threads, and it builds a strong foundation for understanding real-world concurrency and performance trade-offs. That is it for this video. See you in the next one.